All right, guys. Welcome to the Tabletop Spotlight. Slightly different name. Duff will explain in a minute, but I'm GamerDad, otherwise known as Joe.
And I am Duff, otherwise known as cleaning way too many miniatures. No, impending Duff, and some people know me as Neil, but I go by Duff. And of course, we're joined by our buddy Jason, aka Slowfuse. How you
Hello,
doing,
everybody.
Jason?
Thanks for having me. I have my cup of goldfish that I will try to abstain from while we.
Crunchy.
Slightly room temperature. Coke.
Ugh,
And
ugh.
Coke is just disgusting in
We
general.
were doing fine with the pizza cake, and then
Yep.
the slightly room temperature vanilla Coke kind of spoiled that whole thing.
so, Duff, why don't you go ahead and explain everybody why it's no longer the Twitch creative?
So, in a nutshell, I was a 5-year-old baby. I started kicking and screaming one day and said, "I'm quitting. I'm done with this." No. I mean, truth classes on. I guess it just kind of proved too broad of a subject matter to go Twitch creative. Although we both very much enjoy many different creative streams, as you guys have seen by some of our guests. Sometimes the topics seemed a little dry, and we really did have a problem kind of filling different subject matters. We didn't want to keep going back to miniature people. We didn't want to keep going back to leather workers, et cetera, et cetera. So we kind of just, part of it was me being basically gone for the last 3 weeks, and the podcast being quiet for those weeks while I was gone. We were talking back and forth, and it's like we should focus on topics that we actually can talk about. I don't really care for strongly scripted things, and we're talking subject matter we don't necessarily know, aka leatherworking, video editing, etc. It tends to sound more scripted. We're trying to go for something more natural, something more casual, laid back, and something that we can talk about ourselves should we not have a guest one week. So we're going to kind of focus more on what we all do: tabletop gaming, modeling, painting, tools, things that we use in the, I guess, miniature painting wonderful world. So
Never heard of these things.
no, not
and,
at all.
And it seemed really fitting. We kind of refocused, essentially rebranded the podcast. And it seemed really fitting to bring someone that's like a huge pillar of the hobby community, especially in the no pressure.
Wait a second. You told me this was going to be easy.
Yeah. It just seemed like a good time. We've mentioned it in the past about bringing worked out perfect schedule, especially worked out with Duff was available because he's like gonna vanish for
Two
but
two
2 weeks.
weeks.
Yeah. Okay. Couple. But speaking to someone like been kind of through a rebrand before, just went through it within the last year, and and now you're a creature caster and you got Bob brand in there, so we figured this was like it all just lined up perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if you want to jump in and give everybody, I've never heard like your backstory. I've just known you as Slowfuse. I went on your site, watched your Twitch page, learned some of my painting stuff through you, but that's
Sure.
all I really know.
No, I've been. I mean, I've been around the hobby and the tabletop genre since, good God, since I was probably 10 years old. I think that's the date or the year that we tend to throw out there. It's been like 39 years of this craziness for me. It was a guy that I'm still friends with on Facebook, was an older kid in our neighborhood, did D&D and got the first edition D&D back when it came in like Ziploc bags and, seemed like hand-drawn components. And, he got some of the neighborhood kids into it to kind of hang out, and then miniatures flowed out of that back in the Ralpartha and early Citadel days. And, so it was just something that was really cool. I mean, I think all of us that have the nerd gene find hopefully find something like that along the way. And, there wasn't the amalgam of video games back, of course, when I was a kid. We had the Atari 2600 and what was it? I think ColecoVision had come out. There
Ooh,
were a few of
yeah.
them, but so we were, we didn't have all the video games to sit around all day every day, right?
Right.
And so these were great ways for us to do it. I got involved early on with BattleTech when it was the FASA stuff going on, and Starfleet Battles and all those games, and BattleTech is really the one that took off with me doing the painting. With the Dungeons and Dragons stuff, it was more just cool to have avatars of your character on the board. Who cared if they were
Right.
painted at that point? It wasn't
Yeah.
something that I understood or knew about. And but then we started doing the BattleTech thing, and the more I started going to comic book conventions, and that was where the kind of gaming tournament scene was way back when. And we would go there, and there'd be guys with these amazingly painted hex grid maps and full lances of mechs, and I just got really blown away by it. And I had grown up a scale modeler from my dad, and mostly World War II tanks and infantry and a couple of planes and things. And so it just kind of brought those two worlds together, and was really fun that I could be taking part in the game when not actually playing the game, because as much as I think it was a bunch of playing, for most of us, there's not as much playing as there is hobby, unless you're just super dedicated to playing whatever game you're into all the time. But yeah, so then over the years, of course, as you learn about girls and sports and music and all that stuff, you dip and dive in and out of the hobby as it takes
Right.
a back seat, for
Yep.
probably 20 or yeah, probably a good 20 plus years of my life. That kind of, your nerd side had to be hidden. It's nice that for the last 20 or so years of my life, I haven't given a damn about it. You get the tattooed me building motorcycles and going on campouts, and then I paint little men. So that's just kind of what happens.
That's kind of my
Um,
story too.
yeah, we just,
No,
and I think we're finding more and more people are more comfortable, obviously, the more they see it out in the wild, and you get, all of the nerd friendly stuff happening at large, that, more and more people are I think, less hesitant to admit to their other friends, the things that they do behind the scenes.
hmm,
And it's always been amazing to me. Like, you meet the best people when you, go and talk about things, and people you'd never thought in the world would say the word Warhammer will say, "Oh, you mean like Warhammer?" Either now at my age, it's like, "Oh, my son plays that," or, "I used to play that back in the day." And there's conversations to be had all over the place with it. And,
yeah.
so then through the years, it was just, basically painting as a side thing. And eventually that culminated in kind of early 2000s when I went to work for Games Workshop, and I left the electronics industry for a while. That had been my career for, I don't know, over a decade at that point in time, and worked for GW as the West Coast Regional Business Manager for a number of years, and working out of the Westminster uh, kind of Golden West location for the LA area bunker, and ran all the business. I was not brought on as being a hobby guy, even though that was why I got in touch with them. I was brought on to do the business, accounts payable, receivables. Believe it or not, they allowed me to handle human resources. That seems like a real big mistake, but
Maybe.
we don't. Yeah, so. But we hired an assistant to take care of the human resources stuff, and then I just did all the business stuff. And I also then took over the hobby manager spot for the West Coast region, dealing with the back in the day when we had a U.S. White Dwarf with the U.S. studio based out of Glen Burnie, and with Dave Taylor and the guys there, got a lot of my stuff published in White Dwarf, and uh, honed in on my sculpting skills, and traveled back and forth to Nottingham a bunch. And so then I think it was really then that it started taking root as a thing that was just part of my life and didn't get put on hold a lot after that. They always found time for it. There were always boxes of miniatures someplace. There were always paints. I was always looking for new stuff. The early 2000s kind of marked the time where hobby supplies started to grow in new directions, and our world of miniatures became, I wouldn't say a real big focus, but you started seeing like Vallejo doing more colors and lines. The game color line came out. You had things that were built more around tabletop gaming. And then it's been a wild ride since then. The more I paint, you do commission work and paint for friends, and then stop doing that real quick, and you realize that's you know, not a very fun task. And and then the Twitch thing, kind of popped up and brought us full circle to where we are now. The Twitch started for me back in 2012 ish
Was that still
with
Justin
video.
TV days?
with video gaming, I was part of a gaming group that was doing early MOBA, competitive MOBA stuff, and I was on the MOBA team, and we always just had a riot when we were playing, and a lot of the people said you should stream this stuff, you've got a talent for it, and we're good gamers and blah blah blah, and I didn't even have any idea what that meant. So we did that for a while, and then the Twitch TV switch came, and very soon after that, and we jumped on the Twitch bandwagon early and did video games for quite a while, and then I think it was late 2015, early 2016, I just had it, the video game scene that I was playing in. I just wasn't having fun. I was getting all testy and raging on stream a lot. So I was like, well, I need to find something else to do, and then that's all she wrote. Then we've been taking that other hobby that I have and doing it live on stream now for over 3 years, and we're kind of there was a handful of people. There was probably about a half a dozen people that we found on Twitch painting. Before I decided to dive in, I was looking around saying, does anybody do this? Would anybody come and watch paint dry? And sure enough, there were a couple of people that didn't really have any viewers, and there wasn't really a community around it, but it was such good energy in those channels. Might only have like 12 or 20 people hanging out and watching this guy or girl paint. And we go in and we just start chatting and talking about latest releases and what games you play and all. And it was like walking into a room of people that you already had known for a while. And so I bit the bullet, and we started streaming, and then just kind of built from there. Gathered this community, started new types of promotions, both inside Twitch and out, to drag more people kicking and screaming to the Twitch front door that wouldn't have found us any other way. And now we've got, hell, there's somebody streaming model painting and miniature painting every hour of every day. I think you cannot log into Twitch and not find somebody in the miniature figures that they call it now section of Twitch.
Yeah, I think in my almost 2 years of doing this, there was a very, very limited time in my first few months where if I went and looked, it was sometimes difficult to find a hobby like a mini painter, but even then, like, it's been just a solid, there's always somebody to paint. And now it's not even like, well, who's this new guy? You still see some of the new guys, but there's always like, it's like the regulars that now have a 24-hour rotation as well, in addition to all the new blood you see coming in every week.
Yep.
Yeah, even a year ago, I mean, I've been streaming for almost a year and a half now. And even a year ago when I started, there were downtimes. There were periods, the West Coasters may not be getting as many viewers as, say, the East Coasters. But now it's really even. People are staying up. People are hanging out more. And you had mentioned that it was like, going into a room full of people that you've known for years, because we kind of have that tie together where we're just like, we're a bunch of nerds and we're playing, with little plastic army men, to boil it down to its simplest form. And that's a connection in this community that you don't see on almost any other Twitch community. I mean, you go into video game streams and pretty much the chat isn't even interacting with the streamer, where, if you're doing something, you got your head down, and you may not be addressing chat for a few minutes. The chat's rolling along with themselves, but you can go back and catch up with everybody. I think it's a very unique dichotomy what we have in miniature painting, and it's so appealing to so many people, and that's just encouraging more people to jump in. And I dig it. I love it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Twitch is an interactive platform, number one, rather than video on demand and the whole YouTube thing. And so we have a unique situation. And then you add on top of that interactivity that you get, whether you're playing video games or, body painting or, AMAs, whatever. And you start then adding tutorial type things to it, and here show and tell type aspect, and you then start building even a tighter interaction where people not only interact with you here, but can carry on a conversation with you if they meet you in the real world, and behind the scenes on Facebook and messaging and all of that. So there's conversations that expand beyond just hey, GG, congrats on that last win. Here's that picture that I wanted to follow up with, or here's that product I told you about, here's the link I said I'd send you. And it's not a rarity, it's more the norm to interact with people like that on Twitch, in our in the creative community at large, but in our little microcosm of toy soldiers, especially.
It definitely is unique. I got a package today I bought a bag of bits from one of my viewers, and he and I got this thing going back and forth. I've only met him once at Adepticon. Before that, I'd never met him. But I open up the box, and inside it has like corn is the best, Nurgle sucks, and blah blah blah. And it's like, that's just the type of thing that you develop over a little distance. Obviously, he's been hanging out in my stream for a few months to build that rapport, but I'm kind of known as a Nurgle guy. He's known as a corn guy. So we kind of got that little rivalry going back and forth. But, other than meeting him at Adepticon, I really don't know him from Tom, Dick, or Harry. But
Sure.
that's just the friendships you build. And it's really, I love it. It's so much fun.
I mean, the interesting part about the hobby being able to stream it on Twitch, you are able to share something that's not very convenient to move around, right? You've got your hobby space. I mean, I know we've seen the go bag. Hope it's coming back soon. But like you can pack some stuff up and go out. But when you go play games, you've got giant bags to carry it all. It's just a lot too much stuff. But now you can you're opening your doors, figuratively speaking, to friends to come in and share the hobby when you don't have the convenience of going to a hobby store.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Definitely.
But
there's some people that just don't like the outside world. I feel like that, that's just something
Sure.
we live with in our world of introverted nerddom. And there's no better way than to give somebody their favorite TV show, but have it be interactive.
Sure.
I think it's great.
And I mean, I've run into that myself. I mean, becoming a dad has made me an introvert because when I get home, since I'm, I go to work all day, when I come home and see her, I don't want to leave. And then she goes to bed, and it's it's almost 9 o'clock. I don't want to get up and go out. It's already late. I got other stuff to do. So I found other things I can do at home without having to, be out all night. So
Sure.
But one of the things we wanted to talk about now is, as you built up, your history, you started the Slowfuse website, and then over time evolved that into Monument Hobbies, and now you are a part of CreatureCaster. How did that kind of come to be? I know a little bit of the story, but for anybody else listening in, how did that kind of come to be?
Well, it's very interesting. I think it's interesting, right? Because it involved me. I was there. We did it. But when we started the whole stream, the hobby thing, and we were there was the Brush Lickers United, and everybody was kind of fracturing off and doing their thing and trying to get a group that built some momentum. How could we get past 3, 4, 10, 20 viewers and feel like the rest of Twitch? And so we started promoting. Kenny and I especially started really. Kenny from Next Level Painting, and I started. We didn't really know each other from Adam, other than just seeing things out in the social world. And we started talking about the goals that we thought Twitch would allow us to leverage from a hobby as a business sense, because it was important to me. I had spent the previous, what would it have been, little over 3 years trying to turn my stream into something that at least paid for itself. And with gaming, because it wasn't something that I woke up one day and said I wanted to do. It was something that a bunch of people said, hey, you ought to do this and be good at it. And so we did it, and we went and had a real high peak, and then had a real low trough when we stopped playing video games. There was a big changeover on the channel. And so I was like, so I need to make sure that within 5, 6 months or whatever, that I feel like there's some momentum and something that can be done with this, or I'll just keep painting on my own. And so we built that momentum with promotional giveaways and manufacturers that we knew getting involved. It's actually the first time that we really started involving ourselves with CreatureCaster, dealing with them from promotional support, and when new models come out, hey, we'd really like to paint that, and cross promote on social media, and all the kind of little bitty business things that you talk about to try to eke out another viewer or two. And then as it grew, and we got to the end of 2016, and we were like, well, the promotional giveaways and all of that, while being kind of cool, we found that it would be a lot better for us long term if we could take some of these other ideas we had, like product ideas that we would talk about during stream, hey, and it always comes from, hey, I really hate this thing.
Mhm.
It's like, I mean, our whole product line and the whole Slowfuse Gaming and the whole of Monument Hobbies and this end of Creature Caster was built from, hey, I really hate white paint. And so during the course of streaming, and we actually had a stream where I fought with Vallejo Model Air White for 30 or 40 minutes and redid a cloak on a commission piece. And I was like, damn it, I just need to get off my butt and mix paint like I've been telling you guys to do to make a better paint. And so I did. We did it live on stream, and then I said it, then somebody said they'd buy it. I said, great, send me some money. And they did. And so like on that stream, I think we got 20 or 30 people that, did donations to get paint. And so I
That's
found
awesome.
myself bottling paint. And so we found a bottle supplier, and, we went through all that. And I've been in manufacturing from multiple industries
Sure.
for decades. And so it was easy for me to jump out and find people and say, hey, you know what? I had a guy who manufactures toys in Taiwan, and a good buddy of mine. And so I called him up and I said, do you know anybody that makes hobby supplies, like painting supplies? He goes, like art supplies? And he had a buddy that just happened to make art supplies. And so it never worked out, never did anything with them, but it got a lot of momentum going. And so we said, well, we're called Slowfuse Gaming. That was from the gaming days in Twitch. So we'll just keep doing that. But we never really thought about it being a brand,
Mhm.
right? It was we didn't think of it in those terms. We had the bomb snail and we had these graphics, and it was fun and all of that, but we didn't ever think we'd do product at a very large level. And then as people, more and more people wanted, white paint, and we were contacted by a brush manufacturer that we worked with for a little bit on the original Bomb Wicks. And, we like, for fun, let's do it. Let's order 100 sets of these and see what happens. And we sold out in 2 days. And it was like, oh, people really do pay attention, right? It's not just a
Yeah.
joke or lip service. It's like, if you can make something, but then we had to put our money where our mouth was, right? We made 100 sets of brushes that had some problems, and we were like, well, are we going to do this for real? And Jen and I sat down and thought about it and said, well, it seems fun. And it seems like, me personally, I had the right ideas of what I wanted to do to make different products. And so I said, well, then I got to do this for real. It's no longer just hey, find somebody that, makes, brushes at a low level. Let's work with, making something that'll stand up to the test of actual use and abuse. And so that's really where we started, kind of an R&D, deal at first, and went through a bunch of different products and what we could do and what we couldn't. And then grew the Slowfuse Gaming name around that, and started coming out with more and more. And of course that turned into, wood racks that I design and build, and the go bag eventually. And then, going from us saying we'd never make our own full paint line to now we have 53 colors in our paint line. So, it just is one of those stepping stone deals, the never say never, and it was a deal where we didn't feel like we wanted to monetize the stream per se. We didn't want to have people feel like we were there. Um, and I don't mean to say this in like a negative sense, because I know a lot of people still do the giveaways, but we didn't want to seem like we were going and begging for dollars every time we turned on the show. We wanted the show to be something where everybody felt comfortable coming and hanging out, just leisurely, like, walk in whenever you want to. Don't feel like you got to come and turn the show on to earn your points and all that. Come in and hang out.
Mhm.
Drop in for 5 minutes, drop in for 5 hours. We don't care. If you drop in for 5 hours, you're probably spending 2.5 of those by yourself, but okay, it's fine. Um, but we just wanted that kind of sense to it. And in order to then make the stream worthwhile, it had to do something more for us and become a marketing avenue for this product development that we were doing. And so that's where we are. And we've never looked back. Jen and I talk about it all the time, how blessed we are to have the community support the products that we make and toss their own ideas in the fire, and give us feedback constantly while we're streaming, and get mad at us when we have the product 6 months before they do. And when I'm showing off new go bags 6 months ago, and then the delay on those is I think they'll be out next month, #soon. But that and new paint. So yeah, it's been a whirlwind. It's the whole thing has just kind of rocketed off of that little bitty statement of I hate white paint.
That's a hell of a story. I've
Wow.
never heard of that. I've never heard that story, but I do got to say that addressing the 6 month thing, I think, at least for me, I mean, I'm kind of a big old fanboy of your products. That's why I love them, because you guys put the time and effort into making sure everything's perfect before you say here it is and give it to the world. to me, that's way more valuable than just going to the store and picking up the newest Vallejo color. Because, there are colors within the Games Workshop line that, one's amazing and then the other is just absolute dog crap. And I haven't found a single issue with any of your paints. And I know that I won't
awesome.
because you spend so much time. I've seen you, just at Adepticon talking to you about the new paints. And then, a few delays is never going to hurt anybody. I mean, a good example, it's kind of apples to oranges, but with the whole Badger happy birthday airbrushes, there are people out there that are pissed off. But you just got an airbrush for $55. What are you upset about? Things like that take time. It takes time to produce good quality. And I know every time I buy something from you, I'm getting good quality. And if it's not up to the standard and I contact you, you're replacing it anyway. So what am I worried about?
Yeah, we fix it. We're not infallible, and we know that. And there is no such thing as an infallible manufacturer. You're not going to get the perfect product. But we decided early on that we wanted to build the whole notion of Slowfuse Gaming, and now Monument, and of course Creature Caster, is that we take care of the customer first. It sounds weird to say that that's an old school philosophy, because you still get the customer is right, and the Walmart, Home Depot, Amazon will all take everything back, no questions asked, and all of that. But it doesn't cause them to fix anything. If you get a product from Amazon that was a fragile product shipped in a box with no packing material, and it's busted, you call them and sure, you get your money back or they send you a new one, but they don't fix the problem.
Right.
You know that in 6 months you're going to get another fragile thing busted from Amazon, right? They don't listen to you. They take care of you and they stick a finger in the hole in the dike, right? But they don't fix it to where everybody can kind of, live easy and enjoy their good stuff. And that was really something that we set out to do. And I think we've been doing a pretty good job. We have had some stumbles along the way, mostly from release times. It's very rare that we have a bad product run, and but that's good. And that resonates very strongly with us when we hear, people like you, Duff, saying that, and we get emails all the time, and there's just no better feeling in the world when people recognize that, number one, you're a small business, but number two, you're trying to outdo bigger businesses with the way that you design and the way you produce and the way you handle your product and your customer service.
Well, one of the things for me, it kind of seems like is, with you as, the hobby nerd, right? You are your own customer, right? So you're not
That's
just
exactly what I was
something
just
out
about to
there
say.
that has if you made more white paint that you didn't like, you're not going to sell that white paint that you didn't like. And I see the same thing with our conversations about some of the minis, like some of the Creature Caster models that are just almost ready to go and all that. Like, there's a problem with this one. I'm not letting anybody have it.
Can't do it. Can't do
like
it.
we talked about the Dracon with some
Dracon,
Dracon, excuse me, with the basing issue that no one was getting that. Like, sorry, you don't want it.
People tried. People tried.
I did.
I think a few people wrestled them away from Adepticon just because
Sure.
they made, glaring promises to us that they'd never go badmouth us because the base was bummered. But
Right.
and it extends to, well, I guess not extends, but it grows out of that fact that you just stated, that we are hobbyists first and foremost. And we say it over and over on stream, and it's not just a spiel, right? It's that we're not going to make a product if it's not something we really need, that we feel like we can do better than something that's already out there, or that adds something to the whole hobby in general that's a new thing. We're not trying to be just a Me Too company, right? We want to make new stuff, increase the cool factor for what we do on a day-to-day basis, because it's fun for us, number one, and because we sit around doing this. And I don't see problems if it's products that have worked well for me for decades. And I've been doing this long enough that, it's tough to say, hey, we're going to make a new super glue. Why? Right? There's tons of super glue that are great. Might we brand a super glue in our name if we have a partner in the industry or something? Maybe. We never say never, but that's not really what we're about. We try to find the things that have caused us problems as hobbyists. And, it's funny, as Jen starts painting more and more and gets involved more and more with the hobby and going to the stores, she starts recognizing the whys. Why did we do this? Because she starts seeing, it was funny, the first kind of times that she started meeting people that were having problems with brushes because their brushes were getting clogged and splitting and all of this. And she's like, I get it now. I get it why, your idea of let's have a soap that really works, was so important. And I was like, yeah, because it's a 99.9% of the people in the hobby have this problem, kind of a thing. And you know, so she sees it from inside, and I think that's the biggest telltale. You know, you don't have people here that don't understand what it is we're doing. You know, we all do, because we all come up with these ideas and we talk about them and we say, yeah, that sounds great, or no, why would we do that? We have more to, you know, worry about right now. And hopefully it filters through the products that, you know, come out are those. They're the ones that we're excited about. You know, we don't have to feign happiness with this stuff, right? Whenever we come out with a new color, I'm like, look at this, this is awesome. You know, and it's, I'm like a kid in a candy store. You know, that's why they have to shut me up, because I'm like, you know, every time I turn on the stream camera, I'm like, look what I got. You know,
It's fun to see your excitement
So-
with the new
So
products
how,
too.
how many samples of future expansions do you actually have at your place right now that you're hiding from everybody?
so right now, none.
Okay.
As far as paint colors go, you know, we've got some model stuff and other products around. I'm always playing with new brush types and things that
Mhm.
we're looking at. So there's always something floating around, tools and things that we have planned, racks. But right now, paint colors, none. There's going to be an announcement here in the next week or so that creature creators will see. You guys both being creators, you'll get that one. And so as we start ramping up, there'll be new information coming out about colors and color selection for the release that I'm hoping will time around that Black Friday sale kind of timeline. That's what we're hunting for. We've got a very aggressive miniature release schedule coming out through the end of the year.
Yep.
So, you know, we're really hard and fast trying to get on the new miniature every month kind of a deal and become one of the big boys,
And
right?
and the miniatures, most of them are big boys. Like I think
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to call them miniatures, right? When our
Right.
smallest well, I mean, now that we have the matriarchs, we actually have miniatures that are miniature, but yeah, the lords and everything up
Mhm.
are a little funny to be calling miniatures. It have to use the air quotes.
Right. Right. So yeah, that to have that large of a creature come out and to design those and have them ready, one a month, no small feat. And then the fact that you have the time to still stream and then do R&D on other hobby supplies. You guys are pretty busy.
Yeah, we're not adding any bodies either, right? It's like, and we have so much going on. Today was the edit the video stuff, because we want to be more proactive at coming out with tutorial videos that aren't just stream snippets. So of course that's, you know, that falls into us here. So we did a lot of video editing and voiceovers today and got all that rendered, and so that's good. But yeah, there's always something new and it's always exciting stuff. Sometimes you have to kind of stop yourself and realize, you know, hey, we're not making heart monitors, you know. If I find a color, you know, to go back what we were talking about earlier, if we find a color that we're not happy with, we're not forced to put that color out right now. You know, we can wait, because nobody's going to fall over dead from not having that color, you know, tomorrow, you know, and it sucks. We're getting better. I'm getting better. It's not a we thing. I'm getting better at saying soon and not, you know, August 14th.
Right.
So that I can hit soon every time. It's just soon from when I just don't tell you when that is. So
Right.
we're good.
Well, I can be patient on the next paint set. I got my dark purple and my dark metallic. So I'm
Right.
like
Right.
lead
Yep.
belcher and was it black metal were my two go-to darkened
Yep.
silvers, and um, like all of that
Dark
stuff's
silver is amazing.
everything
Yeah.
else is in a drawer. Like
Yep, dark silver is amazing. We love it. We've got it's so much fun for me to sit around and think, you know, because it's kind of a dream, right? That you get to sit around and think about, okay, if we're gonna make a paint line, what are the colors? And I go, well, here are all my favorite colors. And then you go, okay, well, let's make those. And it's like, okay,
Right.
well, let's just make the paints I use all the time. It's great. It doesn't fit for everybody. We still get a lot of people that are like, you know, I've never used these. I really need these. I use these a lot, and so that's now where we're working on it.
Well,
Not
Yeah.
just what Jason uses, but what the rest of the world uses too.
The yellow, green, and burnt orange were, and the purple, of course. But
yeah.
Burnt
those
orange
were
is
the
Yeah,
three.
don't get me
I-
started.
I underestimated burnt orange because I looked at it. I'm like, well, it's. I'll be honest. I was like, I'm not excited at all. And I was painting the lens of a Gene Stealer Colt, so super tiny, the goggles on one of these tiny guys. And I'm like, what should I do? Someone said, make it orange with a little bit of a green fade to it. So guess what? Two colors were right next to me. I went with burnt orange and the yellow green.
Camo
and-
green or the yellow green, yeah, for sure.
and-
Yeah.
and I tried the burnt orange and I was hesitant, and then it went on the model. I'm like, wow, okay, I get it. Like it looks
Yeah.
so.
Now you understand why I was almost out before the real paints got here. I was getting nervous. My samples were all running on empty. I gave a local paints with us on Monday nights at the
Yeah.
local store. he was doing an entire army for War Machine, and he really loved burnt orange, and he kept begging and pleading in our local discussion group. They renamed him Gib Orange, because he always was walking in the store going, "Give me some orange," and so I poured him a little bottle of it once, and then I instantly regretted it because like a week later I was like, "Oh my god, I've been using this on every model I paint, and I'm almost out." So
that's what I'm running into with the grays. Like,
oh yeah.
yeah. So I guess since we're telling everybody about all these colors, we can kind of talk a little bit more about like the different sets, right? You have the core, I guess I'll call it the core set, right? Which was just filled. It got all of us really thirsty for more paints, right? We got started with the Pro Acryl, got to get a feel for it. They're super smooth.
Yeah.
I don't even know what.
Yeah, for being such a pigment, our goal hunting out was to find a way to give vibrancy of color, density of pigment, and not do the very heavy medium that like Scale 75 and some of the other companies have to do in order to make their pigments that dense. And so we really think we nailed it, right? We have a paint that when it comes out of the bottle, you feel like it's almost too liquid. If you've been using some other paints, you're like, wow, this is going to be really thin, and then it blows you away because it's not thin at all, right? As far as what it looks like on the model, but it lays very flat, and of course has a very matte surface. So yeah, I mean, we released the first 29 colors. They're not even a year old, guys. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Like they just came out.
Friday was
Black Friday.
Black Friday, that's right.
Black Friday. So just like 8 months old for the original colors, and then we just did a week and a half ago, released the expansion sets, and then just yesterday took the expansion sets live in the UK and the EU store as well. So now they're worldwide finally. Whew, we got to wipe that off. They made it through UK customs without too much hassle. So yeah, so they're available all across the world, and that was an additional 24 total colors, including the 8 new transparents, which that's what I'm doing all my video work on right now, is showing everybody the amazing capabilities of the transparents that are, kind of game changing. Which is funny because we kind of slept on them. We had them as samples for a while, and we kept pushing them aside because you're like, I really don't, know that we're ready to get into that, game of effect paints and blah blah blah. And then one day I just picked it up on stream. I picked up the red and used it for something, and in the back of my head, I don't know if I said it live on stream. Thank God that video doesn't exist anymore. But in the back of my head, I said, "Why have we not released these? Why did these not? Why weren't these in the base set? Like, this is amazing stuff." And then you pick up the brown, and it just went from there. I made it part of our crusade and our kind of company meetings every week. That I was like, okay, we're doing these, right? That's not a question. We're doing these. These have to happen. And so we added more colors and did the testing on them and got it all squared away, and we've been in love with that. So. Yeah, and then we're just going to keep adding colors. Our goal initially was to add about 8 colors every 3 to 6 months until we got to what will be our our top end for total amount of bottles. And we're not sure what that is. Probably around the 80, 90, 100 range for colors. But of course, we decided to kind of blow it out of the water with this first release and go ahead and do 24 new colors all at once.
Sure. So I guess I missed the memo on the transparents, right? So I knew that there were a bunch of new paints, and I missed a couple of streams and a couple of explanations about it. Like I'm trying in my head to compare them to other effect paints that exist out there today, and I can't think of anything to compare them to. Like, I want to compare them to shades from GW or inks, but they seem totally different.
Yeah, they have the weird thing is that we kind of hit a magic spot where we get the look of ink without the flow of ink. And by that, I mean that inks are by their very nature thin like water. In most cases, you can thicken them up and add mediums to them, but in general, you're going to go buy an acrylic ink or a India ink, and they're going to be thin like water. So they also have an issue if you re-wet them very quickly. They can move on the model, and we didn't want that, but we wanted transparency. We wanted something that could give you the look of an ink if you wanted it, the look of a wash if you wanted it, but be very controllable. I'm a control freak. So my whole thing is that I need to, when I'm placing color on the model, I need to be able to tell it exactly where to go and know that it's going there as long as I do my job, right? I should be the weak link between the model looking the way I want it to, not the paint. And so all of our paints, that's really the kind of motto behind them, is that as you increase your skills, your paints only look better and better and better, but you can use our paints for all of that as you grow, whether you're a beginner doing simple base wash, highlight done, or going in and blending and airbrushing and doing everything else that you've ever dreamed of later on down the road. Our paints will be there with you, getting better as your skill does.
Yep.
And some paints kind of hamper you with that. I feel like washes are one of those. I love them in their concept of what they do for both speed, efficiency, and look, right, for that filter that they give, but they get blotchy. I mean, we all run into this, right? They pool because the plastics and the resins that we use have got low spots in them from the mold that you don't recognize until you actually put a wash on it. Because these are little micro textures on surfaces. And so I was like, I really want something that goes only where I want it to, but gives me that look. Can we do that? And the answer was yes, we can. And so now we've kind of gone, I feel like, above and beyond, and we have a product that I still am opening up the new fresh uses out of the package every time we use it on stream.
Yep.
But they are just acrylic paints. The first and foremost thing, they aren't inks, they aren't washes. The medium in them, while being a little bit different than the medium in our normal opaque paints, is completely an acrylic medium. It's a suspension, not a ink solution or a dye solution. So it acts just like a real paint when you mix it with other things. They've got a very high saturation value in most of the transparents. So you're going to be able to mix the transparent blue with let's say a opaque yellow paint, and you're going to get a pretty rich green out of that without having to feel like you got to put a whole lot of transparent paint in it. So I have been urging everybody to just play with them and forget that it says transparent on the bottle, and just play with them and see what you get, because I think that as soon as you tune your head into they're just paint, right, they just have an inherent level of translucence or transparency to them that makes them do amazing things right out of the bottle. And the more I see people using them, whether they're airbrushing with them or brushing with them, the light goes off pretty quick. Some people open the bottle and think, oh, it's a wash, but it doesn't work like a wash. When I paint a line, I get a line, it doesn't blend. And I'm like, yeah, it's a paint. Like, it works like a paint. It's a transparent that you can paint a freehand logo
Sure.
with, and it won't blend out like if you did it with Nuln Oil or something like that. So
I think that's one of the most common misunderstandings with the transparent line is people don't realize that it's brushable.
Oh, yeah.
Inks are brushable to an extent, but these, like you said, they act more like an actual paint.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because they
yeah,
are.
like with inks and stuff, if you dilute them or even if you use them right out of the bottle, as long as you're going for full surface coverage, you can brush them just fine. But as soon as you start getting into like detail areas other than like pen washing armor panels or something, then you start to not like them much because of the way they flow and blend, and same with washes. So ours just kind of pivots between those two. We spent an entire stream loading up our transparents with just Flow Improver as a thinner, and you got an amazing wash out of them. And we were able to, mix colors and get whatever color wash you wanted to out of all the transparents, and do amazing things. So
Yeah,
like I said, I think that once you get them in your hands, you'll just be bummed that it doesn't come in gallon tubs, I think. Is the biggest bummer of the transparency.
Or what is it,
That's
the
pretty-
400 milliliter bottles, like you get the
Yeah, right.
Is it
200 mil.
Yeah.
The Steinora's big boys.
Yeah. So I mean, like, just start making these.
Yeah, exactly.
Send me one of these, a dark purple and burnt orange, or for Duff, burnt red.
Yep. Burnt red is by far. I'm a green guy, but burnt red is my favorite color in the whole
Burnt
line.
red's amazing too. Yeah.
And then you snuck in the metallic medium. Yeah, I say snuck in. I did not
saw
know the
that,
full
did you?
color. Yeah.
Yeah, we played around with that. It was funny. I painted my fingernails one night on stream, showing everybody the color combos you can do with the metal medium, and we mixed some of the transparents. The secret there is combine these two conversations. The transparents mixed with the metallic medium is
That's where I was
dreams
going.
come
Yeah,
true.
that's where I was
Like
about
dreams
to go.
come true. Because the transparents have such a rich and vibrant color to them without overtaking the metallic sheen of the metallic medium, that you put those two together and you get just combos of metallics that you can't find in a bottle anywhere without losing what you picked up the metallic paint for. You can make a blackish metallic if you mix black, or coal black with silver, but it overdoes the silver a little bit. So you get a very dull finish to it. And you find yourself thinking that it looks more more matte, less shiny. You don't pick up the metal flake as much, but then you put the black transparent in the metal medium, or the green transparent, or the yellow, or whatever. Just pick up colors, mix them together, mix them with the metal medium, and all of a sudden you're off and running with amazingly vibrant. The purple is my favorite. Take the transparent purple, mix it with the metallic medium, and just get amazing, and goes through the airbrush like an absolute dream. So
Really,
here I am
yeah.
getting excited about stuff again.
So I've got this dream of painting like a unit of metallic purple Emperor's Children.
Oh yeah,
So
yep. Yeah, when people were like, there was a big rush where everybody was doing like silver base coat and then like Tamiya red clear for their Thousand Suns when the 30K box set came out. And, and I've always been a fan of of that kind of layering. And you can do that with our paints, or I'm like, just cut out the middleman and just mix some red metallic, take a little bit of red transparent, take a little bit of the metallic medium, mix it up, put it in a bottle, done deal.
Yep.
Now you've got an amazing metallic that you can reuse all the time.
And then it doesn't hurt that you've got, a couple of choices of brush lines to go right along with them.
You're better at marketing than I am, man.
His segues are.
Yeah, right. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Our product line gets so big that we forget sometimes. It's like we have so much in our. We just got into a new commercial facility down here, and so Jen and I, when we're at the office, number one, it still, to me, it feels like a new place because all of our studio streaming equipment is over there. And so we do this stream live from the office, and you walk in and it's like, oh my gosh, I just did stock updating on all the models today, and then we got to go through and do soap, and then the paints hit, and then you forget that, oh my gosh, we're out of a particular brush that we got to make, or I've got these new. Yeah, it's crazy. Doesn't seem like a lot, but it turns into a whole lot.
Well, especially for two people. A lot of people, I'm surprised a lot of people don't realize.
One and a half, because I'm so old, I don't really count as a whole person.
Touche.
Well, but it is still two, because with how fast she ships stuff out, she is 1.5 people. Let's be honest.
It's amazing.
True.
It is.
Yeah, true.
Her shipping skills are as magical as the brush goop. I mean, it's it's another segue. Sorry, but like,
it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe it, and she's still. The personal touches, she takes the time, and I know she's looking at the name of the person, right? So she may not know every person individually, but she's signing just about every single one of those mailers going out.
Every single one.
Yeah.
Yep. Every single one.
And I heard she does.
Some people get lucky enough and get her to do artwork on them, but that hasn't happened recently because when she gets so bogged down, she doesn't. Yeah. She called at me the other day. She was like, somebody wants a picture of such and such and so and so. And I was like, nope, not happening. I was like, I wish, but not happening today.
Yeah, I was bugging her for some doodles for somebody. Because I had I gave away a brush set to somebody on stream at the end of the month, and he's like, I've never had like good brushes, but he's at a hobby store, like craft store, cheap.
Sure.
And that's fine. They're usable, but this was like his first real dive because he got the sables. And I said, have you cleaned brushes before? He goes, I have no idea how. So I snuck in like a small thing of goop with his order because he's a good friend of mine too. And I told Jen, I'm like, he's never. Like, this is a brush virgin, right? So if you got time, can you doodle something special just to,
nice.
I was watching the King of Ruin. You're doing the video for the transparency, so we were over there chatting. She was having a good time with a bunch of us. So, it's like it's incredible because you mentioned creature creators, right? And it was incredible to have a chance to join this because I feel like some people may have joined up for like to have the badge, to have something else to attach their name, and that's fine. Some people have that prerogative, but a bunch of us were like, I want to be a part of this because of the product that we believe in it just as much as you believe in it because of the users.
100%.
And we don't just brag about it because we're obligated to keep saying, oh, we're creature creators, we have these brushes. I'm hiding all of the rest of my paints, or I'm trying to find excuses to use them all up so I can just keep going with one thing that works best for me because I feel like this is gonna sound strange, but there's like a personal connection in these paints because of how much went into making these, because you were trying to get paints better for yourself, for your use. So I know that I'm using paints that a hobby enthusiast spent so much time to make their life better painting, and now it improves everybody's who uses them. Where I know Scale and Citadel, they're trying to produce paints that are popular and good quality. They're not, I mean, I don't want to take away from that, but I don't necessarily think they've got a hobbyist sitting in a room going, this might be a better paint to do this, right? I don't think you're getting that in some of these other companies that you're getting from a small shop like you.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I would like to think they're all hobbyists. I mean, I know that a lot of the having been involved at the Games Workshop level, I think that at some point in time, and you hope as a small business it doesn't come for you, but at some point in time the business takes over
Mhm.
and the machine just starts picking up and taking the place of some of the human interaction, and then you lose everything
Mhm.
from that kind of human touch with product development. I mean, I worked in the world of electronics where for years you tried to bring that back because it was just a big assembly line, right? And you
Mhm.
picked the right components and you tested those components, and as long as those components work, you sent a bill of order sheet off to manufacturing and said, "Here, produce 50,000 of these."
Mhm.
And then you got 50,000 of them off the end of the line, and you spent all of your time trying to figure out how many didn't work at the end of the assembly line, and that was your metric for how good the product was. And you sometimes would miss, do people use it?
Right.
Do people like it? You were worried that we made 50,000 and only 10 of them were bad, so it must be great, right? All that means is that your production efficiency really works. And so I feel like the hobby's not there yet. Games Workshop, I know a lot of people gripe and moan that they're there, but we're still a very small
Mhm.
industry. And I feel like Games Workshop still has they're getting back to the human touch, I should
Yeah.
say. And they're doing a really good job. And I feel like a lot of the companies, one of the things that makes so many of the products great in our hobby is that you do have small businesses and you do have people who love this hobby.
Right.
And, even if they've grown to a point where they've forgotten that, they're still there. And so, I the thing that gets me is that we have so many people in the hobby itself, whether it's a new miniature company or, somebody that's making tufts, grass tufts or terrain or, printable scenery or whatever it is that you get these little startup businesses doing. And we have people who are afraid to support them for some reason. Maybe afraid's not the right word, but you know, they they talk about how they're just going to go buy something from, big box
Sure.
manufacturer, Home Depot. I know I go get hooks from Home Depot, and you've got these people that are making these amazing products, out of their garage. And I'm like, no, we need to be supporting people who do like what you're talking about, right? What got you excited about the creator program is support people who are going out on a limb and
Mhm.
making things that are better for the hobby. Support those people who aren't just making Me Too products, that are actually doing something that makes your life easier, because
Yeah.
it is worth it. Um, and I'm a big
So
fan. I love so much of what I see going on right now. We're kind of in a renaissance for the hobby. There's never been this many products from this many manufacturers that you can just go out and buy. I was looking
Right.
for what was I looking for? I was looking for kangaroos for a diorama I wanted to do, and I
Mhm.
was looking for 1/48 scale kangaroos, and you can find 1/48 scale kangaroos. It's like, what? Are you kidding me? Like, no. When I was young and building dioramas,
Never would have thought of that.
you had to go and just make them out of paper mache or something, because you weren't going to find that, or it was going to be the wrong size. There's just all sorts of great stuff nowadays, and I think it's wonderful, and
Yeah.
people are more and more in tune. We see it in Kickstarters and all of that, but we do. I mean, we do pride ourselves in that inclusion, and if I can go back to the creator program real quick, the we wanted to make sure that we had a way to expose people to more creature caster products as we grow the line out of not just models. And Slowfuse Gaming stuff is not just brushes and soap anymore. We have this great unified presence now that we want to expose people to on an ongoing basis. And we were like, man, we live here in the Twitch and social media world. That's where I personally came from, and how this company got started from the hobby supply end. And I was like, let's go and use this vehicle and see if we can't get people jazzed about, interacting with the company in a way that, gives you everything from not just sneak peeks and giveaway stuff, but lets you get a look inside the company and the way it works, and maybe get a voice on, hey, what are the next colors need to be? What would you like to see? What's the weapon option on this model that we've got coming out that you like better? And be more involved, so that people in this small kind of industry that we're in feel more integrated, more involved.
Mhm.
Like when the product hits the street, it's like, oh wow, they did it. They listened to me. They put the head that I liked on the model. It can be simple stuff like that. So we love it, and it as a no strings attached kind of deal. You guys joke, but it was something that we made sure going out the door that we didn't ever want anybody to feel like they had to talk about creature caster stuff. It doesn't it doesn't help us to force feed it. It helps us to get the real response from you guys that
Right.
says, hey, we love the paints. Hey, we love this model. This is really great. Or, hey, we're not happy with this, so that we can make the alterations quick enough at our end that doesn't happen very often. So.
Yeah, and I mean, the work you guys are doing it's speaking for itself. Like that's one
Thanks.
of the reasons why we don't necessarily have to go out there. We're gonna show the paints off, and like it talks for us. It really does. The brushes and everything, the models. It is interesting to see so many cardboard boxes with a Creature Caster logo sitting around my room, though. But
I'm starting to.
You would be surprised at the amount of emails I get from people that are like, "Oh my god, you should see my Creature Caster models," and they'll send me like a picture, and I'm like, "I didn't even think we made that many models. Do you have like duplicates? What are you doing? Are you trying to open a store? I don't get it. Paint them, bring them down."
Just at ATC this 2 weekends ago, I think it was. Yeah, 2 weekends ago, and there was a vendor there with the original Creature Caster Kickstarter, all the models in a box, and I was like this close to buying it. He wanted like $275. I'm like, wasn't the Kickstarter like $150 or something? He's like, yeah, man, appreciation. You see how big they're getting these days? It makes perfect sense to me. Makes perfect sense.
Oh wow, I didn't realize there's a collector's market for stuff. There is.
Yeah, and that's something,
Did he have the mountain dragon in it?
Yeah, had the dragon, had the
might have been worth to buy the mountain dragon.
That's what I wanted, was that in the
might have been. There is a collector's model out there, and it's the mountain dragon.
What's
you didn't hear that from
glutton
me.
demon? Not, you guys call it the glutton demon, but I guess it was remade because it was too similar to a different. I was looking for that and the mountain dragon. They were both in there, but he wouldn't split it. So,
of course, no. He knows what he's got. He knows what he's got.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if this was an accident or not, but I got I have a Lady of Strife that's got a different head that's not listed on the website.
Ooh.
So the second head, was available for a while, and is not there now. There were some issues with the mold on the second head. And so the picture showing the second head isn't on the website because you don't get that right now. But we're always looking at ways to alter and change. You wouldn't be surprised if you got a model, like let's say you ordered another model that you had already owned one of, and you get it, and then you get one that has different weapon options. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So we're always looking at ways that we can come in and say, let's update this model. Let's give it a refresher without redoing the whole thing. And what can we do? Well, we can give it, new weapons, new head, something like that. And we'll sneak those in from time to time for sure.
Variability is something people really appreciate in models too. So, and people like me who are addicted to bits, it's always nice to have something left over to kit bash with later on.
Yeah. So one of the things I haven't really bugged you about too much on here is, as we talked about brushes and paints, the racks. I've always been curious with all of your emphasis on the paints and the brushes, why the racks as well? I mean, they're fantastic. I'm staring at a whole bunch because they're extremely useful, but was this just like you were tired of something and you needed something to help yourself out, and whoops?
I hate white paint. Yeah, I hate my workspace, and I really didn't like the bleacher seating stuff.
Okay.
And one of the options that I looked at to go buy was like, to get the setup that I needed was over $400, $500 to get it, and I was like, wow, that's expensive, man. I don't want to. I could just buy another desk and have more surface area to just throw more crap on if that was what I was doing. So I was like, I wonder if I could design something that held up under stress, and wasn't as complicated to build. And I started, every time I come up with a product idea, as a inventor, one of the things that I brought with me from electronics is that if I come up with an idea, it's not just good enough to say, okay, I have this cool idea and this product does or doesn't exist and we can do it. It's okay, let's figure out what problems it solves. Like, are these real problems, or are these problems we have to market and convince people they have so we can sell something, right? Because that exists. We all know it. That exists. You'll get commercials thrown at you for things that you never knew you needed because you didn't know that was a real problem until they marketed it and told you that was a real problem. And then you're like, oh, I guess that is a problem, when it wasn't really. But my real problem was my organizational skills are at bare minimum for a human being, I think. And I know a lot of us suffer from that problem. And so I just started ticking boxes and saying, okay, it needs to be able to do this, 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 and this before I'll make it, and put, you know, our name on it as Slowfuse Gaming at the time, or Creature Caster Monument now. And so we did it. We had at the time we had a local guy here in Arizona who was making terrain for Infinity. And so I went to him and I said, hey, I have these designs. Do you think you could help me by cutting some prototypes for me and helping me work through the you know, that prototyping stage where I can figure out what I need to be doing? And he was like, sure. And it took a while. And then we got all the samples back. I think at the time it was like 4 different racks. And you know, I got them, I built them. They all went together really well the first time. There was a couple adjustments, but I pretty much knocked it out of the park with the idea the first time around. Sizing was right. I loved them. They went together. They were super easy to put together. There were very few pieces, so it kept the cost down. And then we just said, well, let's see if people want it, you know, and because I could make it locally and I could order in, you know, I thought 1s or 2s is all I would need, you know, that's great. We pretty quickly had to find another supplier because he couldn't make enough to keep up with the demand that we were doing.
Little did you know.
It was just injecting too much into his business. You know, it started as a, hey, this could help fill the downtimes for me. And it wound up being that it was 10 times more work than what he was already doing for his own business. And so it didn't work out to keep it there. And we found a supplier that can work at the volumes that we do, and had to get everything resampled again based on their machines and their cutting, and found that the quality got lots better. And then it allowed me to start thinking, okay, well, what other designs would I like to do? And
Sure.
my brain's always going with, hey, what's the next cool thing that I could do? I could invent this toilet roll holder that, you know, every time I walk around the house, everything that I look at needs to be redone. But luckily, I just keep it focused on hobby supplies most of the time. And so, yeah, we've got a new rack coming out with the dropper racks will finally be back in stock. # soon. And we've got a new rack. Yeah, we've got a new rack coming with those. It seems like it's funny. Rack sales kind of peter off whenever we don't have dropper racks. And as soon as we have dropper racks, all the racks sell again, right? Because that's the linchpin. That's the one that people use the most. So, but we've got another new rack that goes with our new half racks, the foundations. It does give you a tiered kind of bleacher solution for the larger 40 mil bottles from Vallejo, all the GW size paints, and the larger stuff that you want. It'll fit all that, you know, super glue accelerator and super glues and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So. But yeah, the racks I think are great. It's just a kind of a, you know, I don't want to say it's a point of sale type thing, but it is. It's you've got all this hobby gear, and now how do you organize it in a way that you can still find it useful?
Right.
So that's why we built it.
That's my daily struggle. Organization and keeping this mess at least somewhat manageable.
Hobbying is.
If you could see my desk, it's scary. It's giving me anxiety. And
the racks saved our studio because stuff was just everywhere. I couldn't find models. I couldn't find paints. I couldn't find paper clips. I couldn't find anything. And, you know, did the racks, and now I still have 80 to 90% of my surface area is still intact, but now everything is organized as long as I remember to organize it. But I've been getting better. They've taught me to become a new man. I put my paints back in the right hole every time I use them.
Nice.
Or at least 75% of the time I use them.
I'm at about 30. I get a nice collection of about 20 bottles right to the top left of my station.
For me, that's models, because on the stream, as we all know, people will say, oh, have you ever done something like this? And you'll grab that model off the shelf and you'll pull it over and you'll show it off, and then it'll go right in front of you. And then you'll keep doing whatever it is you're doing. And by the end of the show, you're painting in like 5 square inches because you've got 30 other models that didn't start on the table in front of you.
That's pretty much how it goes. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 plus this 5 projects surrounding me, plus like 8 bottles of water, and
those are rookie numbers, son.
If you saw what I was working on now. The reason I'm looking down all day is because I'm literally cleaning 2,000 metal miniatures.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's fun.
No thanks. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I know a lot of this is you sharing your hobby with us, right? That's the whole point of Monument Hobbies. It's the whole point of Creature Caster. You guys are sharing what you're passionate about. Is there anything you secretly wanted to keep for yourself that you're just so proud of that you just wanted to, like, I know you it's probably already out there, but like, you know, your white paint, for example, right? Like, big proud moment. What's a proud moment you probably wanted to keep for yourself?
That I wanted to keep for myself?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you mean like make something that we didn't release?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. I don't know.
Silenced Jason somehow.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. That's a good question because I don't. Because of the way we started, I think the white paint is probably as close as we come because it was a share it with your friends kind of a product. It was everybody that hangs out with us on stream, and hey, shoot us. I think it was $3.95 a bottle, and shoot us $4 on stream. We'll shoot you some white paint, and we can all rejoice in this crazy best white paint in the biz kind of thing. And it never was intended to do much else. And then the day that you wake up and you're like, oh God, we have to give this to everybody. Like they're banging on the doors and they're requiring us to give them white paint. What do we do? And then that led to, well, I can't sit here because I was physically making white paint. Jen did it a couple of times, and I was physically mixing white paint more than I was streaming and more than I was doing the rest of the business. I was like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. I was hand mixing these tubs of white paint and this crazy witch's brew concoction I was making. And I was like, no, we can't do this anymore. So that was the big decision point, man. And I guess that's one of those things where it was like, it was just our baby. And then it was like, no, it takes the village to raise it. Right. So we got to let it go.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the closest. With me personally, I'm very what's the right word? Non-emotional, I'm not tied to these things very much. Sentimental, maybe. I mean, I have sentimental moments, obviously, but I'm not, when it comes to things, my whole deal throughout my career has been find ways to relate to other humans, to be as generic as possible by making stuff that we can all rejoice in using. Right. And so whether it was electronics or whatever, I spent more of my time dealing with other human beings, trying to figure out what they needed and what they wanted and what they liked than I did, actually on products. Because you find that putting products together and, Legoing this thing so it actually does the job you say it's going to do is the easy part. It's the dealing with, other people and finding out what they really need it to do and then making it match that as close as you can. That's the most difficult thing that I feel like gets missed. So by the time I've done that and I feel like we got anywhere close, I'm ready for it to go. Get out. Like I'm the one they have to shut up. I'm like, they're like, no, we're not going to tell people on Facebook that's available today, Jason. You're going to wait. And I'm like, no, I want to put out releases. I want to tell everybody that it's ready to fly. And everybody's like, no, we're going to do that on Thursday. And I'm like, "Grr," and I have to go stuff a sock in my own mouth and sit in a corner for a week. But yeah, I don't care. I mean, everything that I have is, if it works for somebody else, you can have it, there. Fine. Great. Have at it. So that's a good question though.
So does that mean that that there's something right now that you wished you could share?
Come on, man! What? Don't even start me down that path. I gotta just mute I'm just gonna have to mute myself because I'll get us all in trouble.
Why don't you just give us the full Creature Caster year in release coming up? Just go, nobody's listening.
King of Ecstasy, Queen of Fate. There's an orc. We're making an orc this year.
Wow.
Oh.
So you got an orc coming. The twins will hit before the year's end, which I can't tell you more about them. They're amazing. Just understand that everything that's coming out is better than everything else we've ever done. That's all you need to know. Every model becomes my favorite model now, and that's the most amazing spot to be in, because as such a fanboy of what we do, when I see the artwork from the concept and then I see the sculpts and then I see the masters, it just gets me more and more amped. Every single thing that we've got coming out of art and design right now is better than the last. And our stuff's already such high quality. I'm like, I didn't think we could do that. Are you kidding me? I look at some of these things and I'm like, are you sure you can mold that? And they've already got it done. And I'm like, okay, great. Fantastic.
Done.
That King of Ecstasy, holy crap.
Yep.
When I saw the first picture of it.
Seen it.
Yeah, we released a tease picture to you guys that I think is pretty amazing.
There is one detail that just you know which one I'm talking about.
Oh boy, the conversations in house of how that was actually going to be modeled for a while was pretty amazing.
That was, I opened it and I died laughing. My wife's like, what? I showed it to her and she just got that smug smile on her face, like,
really?
Boys will be boys. There you go. There you go.
No,
yep.
But I saw chat going nuts talking about Jen's gonna kill you and everything like that. Unless you actually run the Creature Caster Twitch account, we may have seen that in someone else's channel before mentioning the same thing. So, yeah. but it's definitely exciting, and I think a lot of people will continue to support Monument Hobbies, Creature Caster, you individually, as long as we keep seeing that excitement from you guys, and that doesn't seem like that's something that's ever going away, you know?
No.
Not as long as we're still, unless somebody comes in and takes the nerd gene away from us, and we've got Jen and severely in the clutches now too.
Yep.
She still won't admit that she's a nerd,
Oh,
but
she is.
yeah, right. She's learning. She's learning trial by fire right now. She gets excited when she sees the model artwork and she's like, "Oh my god, that's so cool! I want to paint that." And I'm like, "You're a nerd.
Yeah.
You're a nerd."
Embrace it. Get her the
Yeah.
shirt. Just make her wear the shirt, and
Yep.
it'll all be good.
She's Erica in season 3 of Stranger Things. Anybody?
Not yet.
Nobody
Yeah,
yet?
I
right.
haven't been there yet.
You'll get there.
Mhm.
You'll see. And then you'll go, oh, now I see
Yeah.
what Duff was talking
Yep,
about.
nerd. I'm not a nerd. And then at the
Yep.
end, yep, sure, great.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I think that's the key is just we find new energy for ourselves, right? Because at the end of the day, it is a business, and it's something where you spend, like today, I sat in front of a computer for the entire day going through emails and customer service and all the things that I do, and then video editing and cropping and voiceovers and all of it. And by the end of the day, you're like not very excited about the hobby, and then you see. Then you go in and you look in our secret corporate spaces for all the new art that's coming out, and it's like, oh yeah, and you can kind of have a private moment where you're like, yeah, our stuff is really rad,
I'd like
our
to be a
stuff is
fly
really
on the
rad.
wall
I
doing
dig
that.
this, and then you can get amped to go work again tomorrow because at the end of the day, a lot of what we do is not glamorous or fun or whatever. It's just running a business, but we run a business of fun, and so we always have that to fall back on. And as long as we keep being able to squeeze cool creative things out of our brain pans, then I think we'll still be getting excited about it. Hopefully, as you guys have said, hopefully that keeps filtering out to the community, because I mean, we're not here without you guys. If we're excited about it but we put it out and you think it's garbage, it doesn't do us any good, right? Because there's only 7 of us, so we're not going to have enough to buy our own stuff that long to keep us alive, so it's really we need to keep the juices going and interactive between the community, and so we're very, very thankful that everybody enjoys what we put out, and hopefully we'll continue to do so. We'll keep meeting your expectations and blowing them away, I think, once you see what's coming out for the rest of the year.
Well, I heard orc, so you definitely.
Oh,
got
yeah.
I didn't realize I was such a fan of orcs, and then I saw some
Green skins.
Kickstarters. I saw the Kill Team stuff, and I'm just like, I'm in. So yeah, I definitely.
I think you're gonna love what we've come up with. So
I think I'm going to make a bold ass prediction, as one of the radio shows in my Detroit area often says, and just based on what I've seen from the last year of the growth between you and the guys over at Creature Caster, and then your amazing combination of the two. At Adepticon, where pretty much everybody's got their ear to the ground on all hobby things. The buzz behind Resin Beast leading up to it was insane. When we got there, every conversation included talking about an entry at Resin Beast. And now with, the whole Crystal Brush being gone, and Golden Demons coming in, but that is more or less kind of a pigeonholed topic. Not everybody at Adepticon is into G-Dub stuff. So more and more people are getting hyped on the whole Resin Beast thing. And with your releases, the paint lines, more racks, you mentioned you're developing new brushes. I see you guys just doubling. You guys will be huge next year. And you're already huge, frankly.
God, we're tiny.
I know, but
some of that's a curse. I already feel like we don't have enough time to get everything
already
done. But
it's really cool to be able to sit back as a fan and see it happening for you guys. And that's just the down to earth nature that you guys all inhabit. It's really cool, and it makes people excited to support you. So
thanks. That's
I
awesome
see good things coming.
Thanks. Yeah, we're very excited, and the fact that we're doing it alongside the community, and that it's we get that energy back, it makes it all the better. The Resin Beast thing has been phenomenal, right? When we released the 2020 rules now, and we've gotten a lot of communications going with that. We're super excited to be bringing it back and growing it each year. I think our biggest dilemma right now is, oh my God, are we going to be able to tote big enough cabinets for all the
That's what
models?
I was worried about.
We barely made it last year, and we bought all those models, or bought all those cabinets from IKEA down here, and then now they don't sell those cabinets anymore. So we were like, oh, what are we going to do? We're going to have to cut. So I have to get started early thinking about that right now. But yeah, I think one of the biggest things for us is like with Golden Demon coming back to the States and doing it at Adepticon. I think that's fantastic, and it's been really eye-opening because of the amount of people that have messaged us, or that we've seen in conversations on the web or in person, that say, yeah, as soon as I get done with my Resin Beast, entry, I'm going to be starting my Golden Demon, or vice versa. And I'm just like, so we have been tossed into that field of people saying that they have to do ours right along with Golden Demon, and that's a huge compliment to us. It's like they're interested enough to put something in our our little show that we're blown away. That's awesome.
Did you guys expect the turnout at the first Adepticon with your Golden Demon entries? Were you guys?
So we didn't have a very good. We didn't have what we would call a really solid feel, right? So when we were doing things like the logistics of cabinetry, we were like, I don't know how many do you want to buy 10 cabinets? Because then we'll have a lot of empties, and then it'll make it look like we didn't know what we were doing, and we only got a few people. And we went kind of in the middle. And we said, well, if we have, if we need more, we either go find an IKEA locally, or something. We figure it out, and we'll just kind of fly by the seat of our pants. And I feel like we estimated perfectly. The overflow was handled really well. The amount of contestants that came in was perfect for us to be able to handle with the crew we had, and still be able to give feedback. It taught us a lot with regards to how we want to interact with the contestants, and how to grow, because the feedback after the fact for people is one of the biggest things that we're committed to, being able to talk to people about what you did well, what you could improve upon for your next entry and things like that, because we wanted to make sure that nobody walked away feeling like, well, I didn't get anything and except my model back, which is 99% of the competitions you'll ever enter. You don't get told why you didn't get a ribbon, and while we don't want to have it be a thing that we force on people, we had a tremendous amount of people that wanted to come back and talk about it. So for the first year, I feel like it was perfect, because we were able to get to those people, talk to everybody, make everybody feel like I hope at least that nobody left, overly disappointed without, getting some feedback. And then of course the logistics of it all seemed to just kind of slot in and work. Now this next year, I have no idea, because Duff said, it scares the living hell out of me that it could grow as much as it may grow with the changes to the whole competition scene at Adepticon. So we're already, talking about it internally. We have been since Adepticon ended, and how we're going to step up to the plate and handle this, and, visual display of it, and, making sure that everything works. But we're committed, and our goal is to continue working with Adepticon as well, so that we can, make sure that the experience for people entering it continues to be as good, and that nobody feels like they're excluded, and that when they decide to include themselves and step out on that limb that is very scary to put your piece in a competition, that you feel rewarded somehow, even if you don't place, that you feel like this was the thing that you needed to do, and that you walked away understanding, why and how you're going to do it even better next year. We want to continue to help people grow and get excited about the hobby in all the ways that we do anyway. And I think that Resin Beast is one of the best ways to support that. It's great.
I agree wholeheartedly. I got to be a fly on the wall for a higher end painter and an amateur painter for your reviews. And I think the feedback offered, I've been a part of 2 competitions, and basically the feedback was very dry, kind of. Nobody explained to me anything. They just said, I can tell that you do this well. You're going to have to go back and do this. Where I stood there for about 15, 20 minutes with another gentleman at your booth, and my cousin and I were just sitting there listening to your conversation with him about OSL. And you gave him a good 20-minute breakdown, pulled out models, showed him some things. And then when he walked away, my cousin had questions. So it just continued, and basically way in-depth feedback. That's invaluable in itself. It's
well, good. Yeah. And that's our hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
You know, we
completely
really
different
want.
from anything I've
Yeah,
ever seen.
I'm excited as hell for you guys for the coming year. You know, the rest of the year and into
Awesome.
next.
Yeah,
So
we're stoked.
yeah,
It's finding a way to fit. You know, we're at that point, and I joke about it on stream and in conversation all the time that we're at that point as a small business where we're like we have so much to do that we want to do that we have to start telling ourselves and inside the walls no. We're at that point, right? Because otherwise we'll just be like, oh, you'll find all the creature caster guys dead on a beach someplace
yeah,
from from dehydration and overwork, right? Be and the best laid plans of all this cool stuff we want to do. So I think we're all really really happy with obviously with the growth, but also where the direction is taking us and how our plans are being able to come together to, like we said earlier,
Right.
continue to offer really cool stuff and
sure.
keep people even more. I mean, geez, if we hit the model a month thing along with paints and brushes and all the new hobby products, we're already there. We're already dead on a beach someplace, but it's great.
Well, I mean, I appreciate the talk. I mean, I know we've gone way past what I promised we would stick to, but I mean,
This has been great.
It's been a great conversation, and I'm gonna want to do it again in the future. You know, we're gonna
Yep, absolutely.
want to dig into creature caster models and stuff like that in the future. So
Cool.
you know, I appreciate it. You know, and looking forward to seeing how the year unfolds. I think we're gonna wrap up though. You know, I could probably talk all night, and I know you can.
Yep.
It's still early. I'm on the West Coast, so
Yeah.
it's still not even. It's barely dinner time here. So we're good.
But
No, thanks for
yeah, I
having me. This has been
appreciate it. It's been
fantastic. Great show
Yeah.
you got going. Hopefully, I wish you guys luck with continuing on with the new vein with the tabletop
Sure.
stuff. And anything I can do to help, let me know.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
absolutely. Other than I'm assuming you're going to Gen Con. Yes.
I will not be at Gen
No?
Con.
Okay.
Nope. We don't have a booth this year at Gen Con. Hopefully we'll be there next year. We had to back out just because of the amount of things that we've
Sure.
got going on. It was tough to commit to going when we didn't have a booth to also, conduct business at. But we will hopefully be there next year. We are supporting, there's a creature caster specific paint contest that they're running there at the show that Lynn Stahl is coordinating. And we've got pricing going out for that. We've got, there'll be tons and tons of pro acryl at the paint and take area there at Gen Con. So we'll
Nice.
be out in force with stuff. But yeah, I won't be there this year.
Okay.
You could paint one of these with his paints.
There you go.
That's exactly what
Duff's
I'm thinking,
teaching.
is the paint and
Yeah.
take.
Great stuff.
Yeah, so check it out, guys. You'll get get some of the creature caster experience at Gen Con. Duff, what do you have coming up other than your life being Gen Con right now?
Yep. I'll be at Gen Con next week. As Jason mentioned, I'll be teaching classes. I do want to stress, Lynn has been getting on me about stressing this. Even though the classes are sold out, you can show up to the classes with generics. We do have a little bit of extras. That goes for myself, Nestor, Lynn, and all of the teachers. So just show up with generics, 5-10 minutes
Awesome.
before class, and we may be able to squeeze you in. Who knows?
Well, there you go.
But yeah, I got that. And then I think the next thing I really have on the slate is not until October. It's Michigan Grand Tournament. So
Awesome.
some time to chill and relax after a busy 6 weeks. How about you?
Nothing really big for me. I mean, everyone else seems like they're kind of con crazy right now. Got a lot going on, but nothing huge for me. I finished my ever chosen entry, so on to the next project, I guess.
Yep.
So all the social medias have been scrolling across the bottom of the screen for everybody to check out. And we're going to post everything, all the Monument Hobby information, Jason's information, Creature Caster's information, and then all of ours are also going to be on all the descriptions when we post the podcast, either the video or the audio. So if anybody has any interest in joining the podcast, or if you know another hobbyist in the tabletop space that would want to be on this podcast, email Duff or myself. You can get our Gmail accounts, gamerdadnc or ImpendingDuff40k. Tag us on our social medias, which, like I said, are scrolling across the bottom. And remember to subscribe to all of our channels, the Twitch channels. Give us a follow there. YouTube, Twitch, iTunes. We're so excited to be on iTunes now. That's a big deal for us.
Yeah.
And on Spotify. So, and on Google, the Google Audio.
Oh, nice.
Whatever that audio broadcasting tool that they have is. And we're going to start publishing these videos on Fridays. So we record Wednesdays like you're watching now, and then we publish on Fridays right after.
And of course, a big shout out to TRUgaming, who facilitates this whole thing for us.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yep, that they're our partners. So we're sponsored or partnered by them, and their community manager reached out to me and said, "What do you think about doing a podcast on this?" I'm like, I've been wanting to do it for years, so it's been a great opportunity. So, and thanks again to Jason for coming in, talking to us about his background, Monument Hobbies, Creature Caster. It's been a great talk. I've had a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me. It's been great.
Absolutely. And don't forget, guys, use the hashtag Tabletop Spotlight in your social media when you're talking about the show. It'll be great for us to be able to see those tags as we're going out there. I will be back next week for a podcast episode. Duff will be busy.
Gen Con.
Little bit
busy
at Gen Con. So I'm going to try and get one of our Kickstarter friends out here on the show to talk about an upcoming or a current Kickstarter. So that'll be an exciting little treat for everybody. So tune in next week, and we'll see you guys around.
Thanks, everybody.
Dabba